Dying in games is one of the most popular mechanics in game design ever. I don't just mean regular losing, I do mean a mechanic that is visually seen as dying, but that also handles punishments, creates tension, and how intentional it is to teach the player what an enemy does by dying to it. So I think it'd be interesting to look into the ways death is handled in games. As per usual with my videos, I will talk about a certain aspect of a death mechanic, then I'll use a game as the exact way that aspect can be executed badly or well. Sometimes, the example game I use won't be the greatest example of the way an aspect is used. So do know that at the end of each section, I'll talk about whether or not that aspect can work for other games. Anyways, let's start!
Punishment with Minecraft.
First thing I want to talk about is how punishing death can be in games. I think the perfect game to talk about for this section is Minecraft. Survival mode if that wasn't obvious. So how does dying work in Minecraft? Simple. When you die, any items in your inventory spread out from your body at a random direction. When you respawn, you'll appear with full health at your spawn point. Now that you're dead, it's probably easy enough for you to understand that you need to get your items back. So what's the exact punishment here? Would I say it's losing your items? Well, kind of. I think it's way more complicated than that. I wouldn't label it as losing your items, instead I'd label it as risking losing your items. What's the difference, I hear you ask? Well, let's say you were constructing a tall building and fell off from it, and you failed at trying to save yourself. Well, luckily for you, you built that building near your house, where your spawn point is located, so you just need to leave your home and go to the death spot. You just got all of your items back, you didn't lose them. In another example, let's say you're in the nether and didn't watch your step and you fall to your death right next to a lava ocean. Since some of your items go into different directions, you just lost half of your inventory. And you don't even know what you lost. It could have been something as valuable as diamond armor or tools, or something useless like bridging blocks. If you don't get it, there's a lot of variables that contribute to losing your items, especially your more valuable ones. The variables include items you have on you, the location of your death, how far it is, and two other ones I didn't even mention, which is the time before your items despawn, and whether or not you have backup tools you can bring with you. But this is quite ironic. Minecraft in survival mode is an exploration game since you need to find certain blocks or items to bring with you. Whether that's ores, wood types, or armor trims, you basically are guaranteed to explore eventually. Yet the irony here is that exploring actually increases the punishment. I just said all of the variables, and every single one literally applies here. The big one obviously is distance. Exploring means you get further and further away from your spawn point, which makes items harder to actually get to. I think that this can be bad since losing valuable items is going to feel horrible, and getting to them may also be horrible. I think the punishment can be too harsh, and it's something I've always seen as a flaw to Minecraft's game design, especially since this kind of death system made sense back when the game was really young. Before Infinite World Generation, you just lived in one big island. The way death was handled here made sense. Even if you explored, you wouldn't have gone as far as modern Minecraft, so dying would have been less inconvenient. Not just that, but there was less resources you needed to go out of your way to gather. Less wood types, you probably needed to travel thousands of blocks just to get one sapling, less exclusive mobs, actually there was none at all. In other words, the reason it's bad game design is because it's outdated game design. It doesn't really make sense in the modern day. But it does do one thing. I don't want to be haggled by a comment saying that I just want games to be piss easy, so I will praise Minecraft for something here. Since the punishment of death can be so harsh, it actually helps it be really tense. Dying in a game can be made tense by visual or sound design. You might have a translucent red border appearing around your screen as you're low on HP, or maybe a faint ringing sound like death is one swing away. Minecraft has none of this. Yet, it manages to be more tense than other games. You don't want to lose weeks of work from a couple minor mishaps, do you? And another thing is that it makes returning home with all of your valuable loot feel rewarding. You took the journey to actually get the items, which you risked losing everything you currently had again. And the way back could have been equally as risky, unless you used an elytra or something. I mean, look at hardcore mode. I don't want to go into it, but I will say that you especially feel the tension there. Dying means you cannot respawn, meaning you can't play that world anymore. That world could have had more than valuable items, it could have held memories, buildings that took hours, who knows what else. Okay, let me finish talking about everything I've mentioned since we're still not even done with Minecraft. I think we need to address the shiny totem of the room. Maybe the one that's undying. I'm talking about the Totem of Undying. The Totem of Undying works fairly simple. If something deals fatal damage, the Totem of Undying tanks it for you as long as you're holding it, as well as some effects to prevent you from dying instantly, the only exception being the Void. I just praise Minecraft for having tension with its death, albeit even if that's just because the punishment of dying sucks. But I think there's a difference between encouraging a certain way to do something safely and just cheating something. Totem of Undying simply cheats death, that is its purpose. I would completely understand if these were frustrating to get, but honestly, they aren't. You just need to do a raid in hard mode, and while I find raids difficult to finish, when you're able to just cheese them by hiding a singular villager and setting your spawn point in said village, then getting the totems can be an absolute joke. You're basically manipulating the game's bad death system with a bad solution to it. I think things like backup tools and armor are already good solutions to dealing with death. These solutions aren't overpowered or broken, they're balanced and can be more fun to set up. Totems can be frustrating to get if you go out of your way to do only woodland mansions, but with raids and especially raid farms, they can be really easy to get. So at the end of the day, they can be a little too strong compared to other ways of combating death. I mean, backup tools and armor encourages you to go through a journey to get your items back, and after I complimented the tension so much, I think this would make getting your items back much more rewarding. As for totems, they are literally just one and dones. Pop a totem, there's no journey to go through. You keep going and pull out another totem that was in your inventory. I've said enough about Minecraft, I think. So is this method executed well? No, I wouldn't say so. A lot of players can easily rage quit over it, and feeling rewarded from long journeys where you bring back lots of loot isn't going to make up for potentially losing everything. If anything, the fact that it opposes the idea of exploring is a little insane in a game like Minecraft. Can other games use or adapt this method? Maybe if the game is designed in a way that Minecraft is, and I mean in difficulty. See, the thing is that a lot of adventure games tend to have what Minecraft would call keep inventory for a reason. Nobody wants to lose hours of work, and developers know this. Let's move on to the next section.
Checkpoints with Deltarune.
Checkpoints are really important in dev design since it essentially determines how much progress is pushed back. That's the punishment here. It's your progress being taken away, but not as severely as Minecraft. The game I'll use here is Deltarune because of save points. I think there isn't much to say thanks to how clear the punishment is here. I have a good example of this here since it also introduces something with checkpoints. In the end of chapter 3, before you fight Tenna, there's a save point. Obviously, this is so if you lose the Tenna fight, you don't have to restart from the previous save point in the green room. My point here isn't about just not having to take such a long walk to restart a boss, it's actually what happens after you fight Tenna. After defeating Tenna, proceeding forward brings you to fight the Roaring Knight. The thing is, you have to turn around and save first since there isn't a save point ahead. So you can initialize the Knight fight without saving first. This seems bad when you look at it from this point of view. If you lose to the Knight, then you need to redo the Tenna fight. Well, no. First of all, let's ignore losing to the Knight just continues the game as normal, since that would ruin the whole point of what I'm saying. Instead, let's look at what happens when you lose to the Knight fight and you already previously completed chapter 3 and got the Shadow Mantle armor. When you lose, Gasser tells you it's interesting how you can persist when your loss is guaranteed. Yeah. The important thing here is you get the option to directly restart the Knight fight or continue as regularly. This is genuinely pretty cool because I haven't seen a game let you directly continue off after failing a specific moment. It's like a temporary checkpoint. Also, I need to say, since I always get a comment that's like this, I haven't seen a game that lets you do this. I, as in me. Actually, maybe you should comment if you've seen anything like this in other games before. And if not, then maybe just give your thoughts on Deltarune doing this. Also, subscribe if you like what you're seeing, it'd help out a ton. Thanks. Anyways, I think the reason Deltarune's method, at least in this specific fight, is unique is because it's very similar to an autosave. Autosaves are self-explanatory. It's basically just a checkpoint that you didn't need to manually save yourself. Obviously, in the way Deltarune works with dying, is that it would have sent you back potentially before you beat Tenna, because you didn't save prior to initiating the Knight cutscene, and thus starting the Knight fight. The thing is, this obviously doesn't make sense to make you restart from a fight that you proved you could already do. It would only frustrate players. That's basically the gist of checkpoints. They're there to prove what a player can do. Player can't do it and die, they can just restart again. Let's go back to what I said previously. Let's imagine the save point in the snowy area before fighting Tenna wasn't there and you saved only in the green room. Okay, now you need to walk 2 rooms and then you fight Tenna. What would exactly be achieved from walking those 2 rooms? That you're able to walk? I sure hope so, the game has a lot of that. It doesn't even work in the tension sense either, since the tension of walking to the potential final boss area won't be the same as the first. For anyone who somehow hasn't played Deltarune or hasn't beat Chapter 3, the gist is just, there's boss A, then you instantly go to boss B. If you die to boss B, then you're allowed to retry boss B instead of repeating boss A. That's the importance of checkpoints. Depending on where it's at, it may or may not make players feel frustrated. Right, anyways, are checkpoints well executed here? Well, I have some personal issues with save points in Deltarune. I don't lose a lot, but Deltarune does reduce the number of autosaves the game has, and at times, it can be frustrating. And maybe that's why this game is a good example? Checkpoints can be executed well. As a matter of fact, their entire design philosophy is literally just that. It's about placements. A checkpoint can be too far back. Sometimes it might be a little too nice. This is easily testable by you. Have you ever lost a fight and then you've said, oh great, now I have to restart from all the way back here? Exactly, you've literally experienced it firsthand. Also, I want to mention that it isn't exactly the worst thing ever if something makes you restart all over again. Sometimes there's challenges and that's the exact point of said challenge. You fell, you restart from a far point. So honestly, this just depends on the game and their game design philosophy. Speaking of how a game does their design philosophy differently,
checkpoints but faster with Doom Eternal.
Okay, so checkpoints are all about showing what you can master and determining how much progress you lose. But what if for once, you can just shrug it off? Doom Eternal. Fairly simple game to understand. Just kill every demon in the way. But at times, it's easy to get overwhelmed and you die. What's your punishment? It's just that, dying. You respawn, go through a loading screen, then you quickly get back to slaying demons. The game is filled with autosaves, so obviously you restart from the last autosave. Usually it's at the start of a fighting section, since when you lose, it's because of a fighting section. I know what you might wonder, where's the tension? Where's the punishment? See, I think that necessarily the design philosophy of Doom is to make you feel like you're the one in control. The punishment doesn't need to be losing a gun or losing all your ammo. Hell, the game has 1-ups that act as totems of undying, as well as a rune that lets you tank a fatal hit. The game is meant to be forgiving because Doom Eternal is a fast-paced game. You're meant to feel the intensity and high moments and aura of killing demons. Okay, what about tension? Well, in Minecraft, I said that some games have tension with your upcoming death with a translucent red border. Doom has this, but this isn't the core of the tension. It's how quick the health bar can deplete. There's been countless times I've been like, oh shit, I need to get a glory kill. Which, if you don't know what those are, it's basically something you can initiate on a demon with low health to instantly kill them, and you gain tons of health from them. But even after the tension is released with death, you won't feel too frustrated. It isn't going to punish you by deleting your inventory. You just simply restart and you can accept that much more easily. So, Doom Eternal shows that death doesn't require a harsh punishment, and it's a lot more justifiable when the pacing of the game is fast. Because of this, I think that the way it's handled in the game is executed pretty well. Can other games do this as well? Well, yeah, it's probably the most chosen option for death design. Do you know any examples? Let me know in the comments! Okay, I gotta stop with the comment interaction bait. The outro is literally after this sentence.
Schmark didn't have time to record the outro, so Mike, will do it for them. Sorry that Doom Eternal section was so small. I think there wasn't too much to talk about and I didn't find it meaningful to try and find depth where there's none. Oh wait, they didn't even finish the rest of the outro. Oh well, just like and subscribe if you liked the video. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers, since Schmark is planning a big video that has to do with that one Roblox game they used to talk about. Also comment if you have any video ideas that relate to game design. They don't really know what else to write. Thank you for 2.8 thousand subscribers, by the way. Okay, that's all. Thank you.